What is going on, everybody? Welcome in. It is episode 77 of the Barking. The Wyatt Teller episode. I haven't called them after players in a really long time, but we're back to calling them after players. I'm your host, Jacob at Roachism13 on the Twitterverse, joined by Mr. Nick Carnes at Carnesies817 on the Twitterverse. Nick, how are you this fine Tuesday evening?
Ooh, so some of the sting of the Browns' loss has started to fade, so I'm feeling a little better about that. But it's crazy, and I knew the potential was here for this, but the difference between the tone of today's show and last week's show, resting on the laurels of a Steelers win is, ooh boy, things change a lot in a week.
It is different, but we are here to tell you why you should still be optimistic. Some things that you can take from that game that were positive. We are going to touch on the bad. We're not guys that are just going to, pump up the good. We are definitely going to touch on the bad too, but we're here to get into all of that and look forward to what's coming up, kind of down the line as we make our way into what is a tougher stretch, but not impossible, guys. So as you may or may not know, your Cleveland Guardians are the champions of the Central.
AL Central.
And I have just dropped it into the comments. If you are on Facebook, if you are on YouTube, it should be popped up in the comments right there. Homage has these amazing Cleveland Guardians shirts that literally just win the whole fucking thing. But they don't spell out the word fucking, so it's still classy and appropriate to wear to work.
Oh, yeah.
So if you want to check those out, guys, Homage, they're the best in the brand. I've got the Homage on here today, nice and soft, great shirts, awesome apparel. You can use that link. If you don't want that Guardian shirt, you can just type it in there and go to one of the other shirts. You can go to the top and do Browns or whatever, Ohio State, those kind of things. So we really appreciate it, guys. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, give us that thumbs up. It helps us greatly in those algorithms to get in front of more people. If you guys are on Facebook, if you're on Twitter and you want to interact with the show live, we can't see Twitter comments. We can see YouTube comments and Facebook comments. So they're over there. So if you guys got things you want to chat with us about, hop onto those mediums if you want to be able to talk about it. And I don't know why the video is coming in kind of blurry over there right now, but it is.
We'll get it fixed. It's a Tuesday. We're operating a little below 100%. I'll tell you what, if they were 3-1, I'd be feeling 100%, but that's okay. Yeah. 2-2 is not, I think I'd like to just start here. 2-2 is not the end of the world. I think anything less than 2-2 would have been a disaster start, an absolute disaster.
Oh yeah. I don't think you come back from less than 2-2.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not saying anyone should be thrilled with where the Browns are right now because both of the losses have been just utterly frustrating. Just games that you absolutely could have gone the other way, and we know that. The other side of that is the wins could have gone the other way too. So
I think it might have been. I think my internet is struggling to play the live stream and stream, and that's why it looks blurry to me and not everybody else.
All right, so we're gonna, but I just, as we sit here at 2-2. The season is still in your control. Nothing has gone to disaster mode yet. The hardest part is of all of that is knowing how close you are to 4-0. But I have to be fair. Also to 0-4, right? So 2-2. Jacob, I mean, you can tell where. How do you feel about it? How do you feel about 2-2 right now?
Disappointed. Okay. A little bit annoyed. I think annoyed. I think as I've taken some time to let it kind of sink in a sense, I think annoyed is where I have rested upon. I think that that is where I've kind of settled in, and I'm just pretty annoyed by it. And the fact of the matter is that you could be and our good friend Sean, appreciate you checking in. He says, they're in first place, but I point out that they could be 2 games ahead of everybody in first place right now. Like realistically could be 2 games ahead of everybody in first place right now. And that stings, man. That stings and that hurts. And I'm looking at this schedule and it gets harder, but it's not insurmountable. And this team that is still 3rd in offensive EPA right now, and we'll get to this when we get to the good portion, because we're going to start out with the bad. We always start out with the bad, and then we get to the good portion a little bit later in the show. There are some things to take away from that game where you go, okay, I at least feel good about X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But because of it, you're sitting here and you're just like, it's so many coulda, shoulda, wouldas, man. And we used to say, leave those in the past. Leave the coulda, shoulda, wouldas in the past, especially since Kevin Stefanski has been here with Andrew Berry, and it just kind of hurts. If you guys have not seen this morning's Daily Dog Take, I sat down with Jared Mueller from Dogs by Nature, formerly the OBR in USA Today, and we kind of dove into some of the really big pictures sort of things. So it's here on YouTube or in the audio format as well, if you guys want to check some of that. So I don't know. I think that's where it is. I'm annoyed. You're still in first place. If you can get 4 more, you are still at that 6 number we wanted you to get to before Watson. And we're going to talk about that. And me and Jared broke it down on the Daily Dog Takes especially. But we'll talk about this schedule. We'll get into that in the tail end of this show. We're going to start out here with the bad. And Nick and I love to go bad first and wrap it on a good note. So Nick, defensively, because that's where the bad is mostly surrounded by. Let's start defensively. For you, what was your biggest negative takeaway? What is your biggest concern based on how the defense played on Sunday?
I saw today that the Browns have 2 of the lowest graded defensive tackles in the NFL. And
go ahead.
Anytime a team like the Browns are supposed to be the team that just line it up and shove it down your throat. With the run game.
Hey
now. The Browns are supposed to be the team that imposes their will on you with the run game. And I just saw our defense get absolutely, that's just straight disrespect. Anytime they're going to call, I don't even know how many consecutive run plays they called.
10.
10. Okay,
well, the 1 touchdown drive was 10, nothing but 10 run plays.
That's just disrespectful. They're just telling you, we know that we don't have to do anything. We're just going to beat you. Oh, that's the worst. That's the most frustrating type of defense there is. Because they're just saying that you're bad. You're bad. We're better than you, and we don't have to be fancy to be better than you. And that's I'm so frustrated by that. I don't even know where to begin with it. And I was watching some of Jake Burns tweeting out clips from it, and I don't know what the solution is to the problem. And I think that's why it's such a big deal at this point.
Okay. All right. So let me catch up on the comments. Then I'm going to go with, because we have quite a few comments, some very talkative people today, which I really, really enjoy.
Yeah.
So we're going to catch up on some of those comments. I'm going to explain my issues. And then before we switch to the offense, I'm going to tell you what I think the problem is and if they can fix it defensively. Because I do think that's where we need to start.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's all we're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the silver lining is we wanted Jacoby to be 3-3 for the original 6 game. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
You're right there. They're still in first place. Yeah, I understand that. I'm just there's just some concerns.
Could be so
forward.
Much more.
Yeah. The main thing to take away is that Christian is not allowed to sit at home for any home games. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I assume that's probably why they lost. So screw you, Christian. Nick
I
looking so sad makes me so sad. Josh says, let's also be honest, the beginning of the season, and it's not going how anyone expected it to go for any team. Yeah. And when we get to the schedule game and playoff talk here at the end of the episode, we're going to touch on just that.
I will say that Josh liked and subscribed to the channel and on the video. Thank you, Josh.
Helps us out a ton to give us that thumbs up. Nick,
I appreciate you, Josh. You know, we're going to get through it, bud. We're going to get through it, and we're going to tell you why.
Judge just hit 62.
Wow. Okay.
There you go. He just hit 62. The problem is Stefanski is hit. No, it's not. Stefanski's actually a phenomenal play caller, and they're third in EPA. So if you were sitting here right now and you're telling me you think the problem is that Stefanski calls plays, then I don't know what to tell you. You're not paying attention. He is a fantastic play caller, and outside of 2 or 3 calls on Sunday, it was another great game. It was great. I mean, there were players open, and Jacoby kind of regressed back towards who he usually has normally been. But sure. The issue is in no way, shape, or form the fact that Kevin Stefanski calls plays, because he is calling plays for the third most efficient offense in football with a backup quarterback and no wide receiver talent. That's what everybody told me. No wide receiver talent.
I can't wait to get into that.
Yet they're open on every play.
As a little mini piece to this, I just want to say to everybody with us tonight, Jacob and I were at camp the day Jakeem Grant got hurt. And I mean,
I watched it. I think I noticed it before a lot of people did.
Yeah, we got the special treatment that day. That was a special day. But it was, I mean, I knew in that moment that losing Jakeem Grant, who was a Pro Bowler the previous year, was a big deal. But just a little mini problem inside the problem. The special teams and the return game especially is non-existent. And it's so frustrating to
I think they really wanted Chester Rogers to take that, but because of injuries on the defensive line, they couldn't call him up from the practice squad. Because, listen, on Thursday, man, I've never seen somebody fair catch a punt and make me so excited as Chester Rogers did against the Steelers, because there was no issues. He's just like, catch it. I'm like, yes, he got the damn punt. He didn't drop it. This is phenomenal. But, okay, so defensively, this is my hang up. This is what is wrong. And this is why I can't get behind fire Joe Woods for a couple of reasons. One, because you don't firing a coordinator in season. It doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. And I don't know how it's going to make them better, because you're just going to get one of his assistants. So if you hate his scheme, you're stuck with it this year, no matter what. And I'm going to do the All 22 film dive later this evening. It'll be up tomorrow on the YouTube page. But from everything I've seen, this is not a schematic issue. This is not a play calling issue. And Joe Woods made quite a few adjustments in the second half of this game. The players were just awful. There was zero rush lane defense or rush lane discipline. Zero. There is a play Jake Burns highlighted that is just perfect, as in the epitome of what went wrong. And that was Arthur Smith set this up so beautifully. It was very Kevin Stefanski-like in the run game, where he got everybody moving to the right. And it was going to be a wide zone run, and he actually calls a counter. And so everybody moves to the right, and the running back goes to the left. And there's only one person blocking on the left. It was the tight end, and he blocked the corner. Everybody, and I mean everybody, crashed to the right, and nobody was over there. That is not how you coach a game. That is not how you're supposed to play. So Joe Woods is not coaching piss poor fundamentals. Now, it is on him to figure out why his guys have piss poor fundamentals. Yes, that is true. But it is not the scheme. It is not the play calling that fell apart this week. Maybe in some other games you could have that argument, but in this situation, it's not that way in this game. And you had its perfect epitome was Jacob Phillips should have been on that side. He actually crashed down almost in front of JOK, who was the linebacker on the other side. And that's how far out of position he was. They're not disciplined in the run defense because they were really good against the pass, but that's a conversation to have a little bit later. I talked to Jared Mueller, like I said last night. I released the episode this morning, and he talked about his belief, and I kind of tend to see a lot, and we actually talked about this last week when we talked about Denzel Ward's struggles, who also was phenomenal actually on Sunday. Denzel Ward really answered the bell on Sunday, I thought. But he said, you're looking at a defense that seems to be trying to be way too aggressive. They are trying to make these big splash plays. Again, we see John Johnson jumping an underneath route when it clearly he needed to go with the deep guy. We saw it again, right? And you're seeing him do that. They're looking for turnovers. They're looking for big hits. They're looking to try to carry this team because the offense isn't at full strength with Brissett, even though it's been very good.
Yeah.
But it looks like this defense is trying to be far too aggressive. And I think he is onto something there. Now, how do you get them to stop being that way? I'm not entirely sure, but they are looking so hard to be like smart, right? And jump a route for an interception. Or in Phillips' case, he gets sucked down because he wants to blow it up for a tackle for loss, and he ends up not keeping his assignment, and it ends up in a 20-yard explosive play for the other team. And I'm like, wow, that's like, because I had no problem. They had 17 pressures in this game.
Okay.
There was no issues in the pass defense. There wasn't. I mean, there were some things here and there, but like you got Denzel Ward with a 92.8 coverage grade. Like that's insane. He let up 0 receptions. Like, and it's like, you look at 17, he was what, 7 of 19? I believe is what Marcus Mariota was. Yeah, I knew that. Yeah. So like you look at all that and it's just like, if you could have just done the fundamentals and just been the basic rush lane discipline, you win that game in my mind. You know what I mean? Like you win in my mind, you win that game. The offense did enough. The offense should have scored some more points. There's some issues here and there, but you know what I mean? It's like, and you talk about the 2 tackles. Tommy Togiai was a 26.8 grade. Jordan Elliott with a 27. What I will say about Jordan Elliott, though, is he has been pretty good. He has a 54% pass rush win rate. So he's actually played relatively well in pass rushing. But the problem is they're trying to play him as a 3-down player, and he's not. He's a situational rusher. And so what I'm getting at is I think you can fix this. Will they? I don't know. I do not know. But defensively, don't forget how much of a terror Jadeveon Clowney is in the run game. Clowney is a better run defender than pass rusher in my mind. And we have talked about that for 2 years on this podcast. And you also missed Myles Garrett. And Taven Bryan has played relatively well compared to the other tackles. Let's put it that way. So I think injuries and basic gap integrity in this game is a totally different story.
So it's important to keep in mind you're down your top 3, arguably defensive ends, right? Where you're missing Myles, Jadeveon, and Chase Winovich, who was also on IR, who I'm sure would have contributed in this game had he been active. So I get that, and Taven Bryan's obviously not there. It's almost like we're seeing 2 sides of the coin with the 2 positions that were most questioned for Andrew Berry, right? Because everyone was talking about the wide receiver room, which doesn't seem to have issues. I think we're seeing a lot of nice things
overall, no.
And the defensive tackle position, on the other hand, the like if there were 2 pieces of the Browns football team that were questioned entering the year, it was those 2. And so we're doing pretty well wide receiver. Defensive tackle wise, I don't think I understand Andrew Berry's tried to address the position, right? Jordan Elliott and Tommy Togiai are both his draft picks and are not living up to where they need to be. So
Togi is so bad, dude. He has been so bad.
And so at that point, then when you're moving forward, maybe you can't fix the defensive tackle position this year, but I would like to hope that Andrew Berry will spend on the defensive tackle position in some fashion to fix his mistakes, right? Like that's my question moving forward now is like, okay, obviously you were able to get away with it in the wide receiver room, and that's a credit to you, Andrew Berry. But conversely, you got to learn a lesson from what's going on in this defensive tackle room. Something needs to be done to that position because, woof.
I will give Perrion Winfrey some credit. Had a pretty good game. Only 16 snaps, but had a pretty good game. So
okay.
There's the hope. There's the hope. But it's more as a pass rusher than anything. Let me look if I can find him. He had three pressures, it looks like, if I'm looking at the right one. So Josh is trying to explain it here in wrestling terms. Our boys need to stop going for the suicide dive on the outside, then backflip over the ring apron. Just do a simple Hulk Hogan, Cena 5 moves of doom, or a Young Bucks super kick fest. Or my favorite, just give him the old RKO. Just give him the old Randy Orton RKO. I love the RKO. And then Sam kind of puts it in layman's terms. It doesn't need to be flashy. Remain disciplined and do your job. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's where it is guys are just not doing, like, I know I keep saying rush lane discipline. That's it. That is the thing that if you fixed that thing, I think they win that game. Because look at these. Let me bring this up here, Nick, because this is really funny. And you let me tell you this. This is I'm going to give you their drives, okay, offensively.
Okay.
The Falcons offensive drives, like how many plays and how many yards they got.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's talk. And this is important here. Hold on, I got to make sure this thing doesn't try to play and blare over our thing here. So let's look at, so in the first quarter, they let up a field goal and a touchdown defensively. The one touchdown was only a 31-yard drive, and that was because of David Njoku's fumble. So which listen, David was phenomenal again, so I'm okay with that. Sucks, but anyway, okay. So here's the second half, because they only had 2 drives in the first half. Isn't that wild?
That is
that's wild. Okay, so second quarter, 5 plays, 6 yards, 2 plays, -1 yard. This second quarter, sorry, not second half. Okay, so 5 plays, 6 yards, 2 plays, -1 yard, and halftime. So that one, you can throw that one out. That was just them going out. Okay, third quarter, 5 plays, 4 yards, 5 plays, -1 yard, 4 plays, 18 yards, interception. And then it's 12 plays, 75, 870, and 649.
As soon as they started running.
But the point is, even running early, outside of that Cordero Patterson touchdown, they played pretty well for a majority of this game. And it's like, listen, it was an epic collapse because they did impose their will upon us in the fourth quarter. And that sucks. And I'm not if you are mad and angry about that, you should be mad and angry about that.
I agree.
But I'm going to tell you that when I look at all of what happened, I haven't watched the all 22. I have rewatched the game, but I'm going to do my all 22 tonight, and I'll give you about 20, 25 minutes tomorrow morning here on YouTube. Kind of my takeaways on that. If you're on YouTube and you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and give us a thumbs up. It's awesome. But I look at those things, and Jared Mueller was pointing this out to me this morning, and he was just like, you say all of that, and you would think this team won the football game.
You would think.
And so, like, to me, it's like 17 pressures. Like, what? Like, he throws for, like, what, $150? I maybe.
He completed 7 passes.
And most of that was on that they had one miscommunication on defense, and they got a very large,
I'm
right?
so upset.
Very large game. I know. So you should be upset. You should want more. But I see a team that if they just get healthy on the defensive line, I think it's a massive difference. I think Jadeveon Clowney is so important to what they want to do against the run game. I really, really do.
We definitely then. I knew it was a tall order when you're missing your top two defensive ends. I mean, that are, and they're the heart. They are the defensive line, right? You're not going to get those plays out of your defensive tackles. You're just not, right? So when you're
consistently, you might get one or two here and there,
and so it makes it that much worse, that much more impactful when you are missing both Miles and Jadeveon. So I'm just going to hope that the two of them can both play on Sunday, because God knows that the Browns need both of them to have a shot of beating the Chargers, which I know we'll get into. I think you've captured it, Jacob, and so I'm hoping, because if you let teams impose their will on you like that, you're not setting yourself up well for the season, because everybody's turning on that Falcons tape and they're saying they just absolutely did not even try to pass the ball. They didn't have to,
they threw for 139 yards.
I know. I'm saying, and when the Falcons called all those consecutive runs, they just because our pass defense was good. I think it was good. I mean,
41% completion percentage. It looks like
7 passes from Marcus. So, but that's my point. Is for as good as the pass defense was, except outside of that one play,
which you can live with one play when you're as good as they were outside of it.
Yeah. So credit to them, but the front was that as bad as they were good.
Yeah.
And
so I will give Isaac Rochelle some props. 4 pressures. He led the team.
Okay. All right. You know what? So I guess the bright side is that Miles and Jadeveon will both be back at some point. So we're hoping this week, because they
just give me one, man. I can live if you just give me one. Give me one.
2 would be jackpot.
2 would be amazing, but give me one. Give me one. So let's wrap up the defense. We'll slide over to the offense. Yeah. And let's just say this. Keep it simple, stupid. Do your damn job. That's it. Yeah. So let's look at the offense. I don't really have a lot of complaints. I know there's some missed opportunities. Jacoby's throwaway on 4th down stung. And that interception, he had Dearness Johnson so wide open. It's about 10 yards in front of him that it was. And I guarantee you, Jacoby will tell you, I should have thrown that to Deshaun Watson. Dearness Johnson right there in front of him. And I can guarantee he says that. But I just want to continue to talk about how good this offensive line is, man, because they're just so. Jed Wills was the highest graded run blocker. I don't know that that's ever happened in his career, where he was the highest graded run blocker on the Browns offensive line. He has quietly been really good. He struggled week 1 a little bit. And I don't care who hears it. Jed Wills is balling right now. You know who else is balling? Ethan Pochich. And you know who else is balling? Welcome back, Jack Conklin, because that motherfucker has not missed a beat. He has come back in and been Jack Conklin. He was 80 in the pass block, 71 run blocking, 77 overall. He's Jack Conklin, coming off of one of the worst injuries a big man could have in that patellar tear, and he's just freaking Jack Conklin out there. Pochich has played well. Batonio's played well. There were some mental lapses there. Teller has played well, and Conklin and Wills, and it's just – and do you want to know, interestingly enough, who the highest graded pass blocker was on this team?
Who's that?
David Njoku.
Wow. Credit to him. Bravo.
These motherfuckers can block. All right. So I'm looking at this offense and I'm like, listen, 20 points, it's got to be better than that. Yeah. But with the personnel that they have, with the quarterback that they're running with, this team is incredibly efficient and can go up against some better units in the NFL, because I know they haven't played a ton of great defenses in the first month, but I'm not concerned about this offense moving forward.
So there's a ton of great things. Nick Chubb is the NFL's 2nd leading rusher. I love that. I think we saw a lot of good things from the Browns offense. Again, David Njoku getting involved 2 weeks in a row. I mean, that almost has never happened in his career with the Browns. So it's nice to see that they're utilizing him. I know it was a tough day for Amari Cooper. Donovan Peoples-Jones showed you some nice things. I think he caught that big pass. I like what I see out of him.
With the sun in his eyes and everything.
Yeah. And the run game continues to be great. I think so. We could break down a lot of this, but there's certainly a lot of talk, and I think it would be a mistake not to address a couple different things about Kevin Stefanski. Number one is the play calling, and number two is, well, I guess play calling is kind of the blanket over it, but really what I'd like to do for a second is dive into the first drive where the Browns go for it on 4th down and they don't get it, because it has dominated talk since the game about those points that, because ultimately you lose by 3 points, you left 3 points on the board.
But you know as good as I do that those 3 points at the beginning of the game doesn't guarantee a 23-23 final.
Yeah, because the Falcons play differently. If the Browns have 3 more points, the Falcons have to play differently. So I understand that's not how it ultimately goes. However, I will say this. There has been a lot of criticism for Kevin Stefanski that I don't think is fair. But in this instance, I do think that typically the Browns have shown you in the past that they prefer to get the ball in the second half. Maybe you double dip before the right about halftime. And so obviously that strategy has changed when correct me if I'm wrong, the Browns chose to have the ball first. They elected to receive.
No, Atlanta deferred, I believe.
Okay. All right. So regardless of that decision, I think the Browns have been trying to play from ahead with Jacoby Brissett. That's probably the best place you're at, right? Because if you do have, even though the past defense has had inconsistencies when they are communicating like they did against Atlanta, they play pretty well. So I think it advantages you to put yourself in a position where Atlanta's playing from behind. Mm-hmm. So I do agree generally with Kevin Stefanski's aggressiveness and going for it on 4th down. But I think in the position where you're getting the ball in the opening drive and you do have Jacoby Brissett as your quarterback, I think getting points at all just matters that much more. So in this instance, I do agree with the criticism that Kevin Stefanski should have just taken the points, because with Deshaun Watson, I would not agree. But with Jacoby Brissett, I just think you need to do everything you can. All these games have been so close. You need to do everything you can to get as many points as quickly as possible, because then even without Miles and Jadeveon, you're still favoring your pass defense if Atlanta has to pass to catch up. And if you were targeting one area of their team, I think it makes the most sense to target Marcus Mariota. So that is why I feel like Kevin Stefanski made a mistake passing on taking the points from the 3. And I mean, you can tell me how you feel about that, but I just think that in that situation, he should have taken the points.
Well, hindsight's always 20/20. He converts that, and everybody's like, man, he's got the biggest dick in the world, and he goes for it whenever. I have no issue with him going for it there. I had an issue with Brissett's decision because then we see Brissett later in the game, like, juke some fools out of their freaking pants on a touchdown. I wish he would have just tucked it and run. Sure. Because I bet you 99% of the time he's not throwing the ball away on 4th down. I was pretty flabbergasted by that. I know that people are pointing out that Nick Chubb is open on the play. I don't think he saw him, because had he seen him, he was really wide open. So I think he would have thrown it. I don't have an issue there. Maybe the play call a little bit of an issue. Maybe you just let the old king of the quarterback sneak to some bitch. Maybe,
right.
I'm okay with that. I have no problem going for it there. I'm always going to agree that you need to be aggressive and get more points. And I understand you took 3 points off the board, but boy, those 7 would have come in handy.
They really
not at the end of the game, but for the overall feel of the game. I get it. And Sam says, that he's one that talks about the freaking points, but if he converts it, it would be a genius call. And MC said it was just the play call, not the going for it. And I think that a lot of people are saying that, but it's really funny because if he runs the ball there and doesn't get it, we're having the same conversation where everybody's like, of course he wasn't going to get it. Everybody knew you were going to run it. Why'd you call that?
I know.
So I think that some criticism is absolutely fair because of how close the game was. That said, I don't have a problem with a coach that's trying to get a coach that believes in his offense to convert. They've converted 66% of their fourth downs this year, and they've gone through quite a bit of them. I like them odds. I like them odds a lot.
My biggest regret of offensively for the Browns is not Kevin Stefanski's play calling or the decision to take or leave the points. It's that the screen game was there and they just couldn't get it going.
If there's one thing that I'm very upset at rewatching this game, that's it. Because, buddy, there were some. Oh my! I'm talking like nobody is around, and there's two guys in front of Chubb / Hunt, depending on which one you're talking about. Yeah. And I mean, it's interesting because it was mostly that Brissett got them knocked down quite a bit, which is very unlike him. Just because of his stature, he doesn't get a ton. And I think this is a conversation you talk about arm angles and things like that, and why like Herbert and Allen and Mahomes are so good is because they could throw from any arm angle in any slot and just wing it, and he like just wasn't able to.
You've got like that signature Patrick Mahomes, like whatever that is. I don't even. Yeah,
he looks like he's throwing like a frisbee. You know the people that throw frisbees, like that do frisbee golf, they throw it like that. That's what he looks like when he throws it.
And like I can think of so many times he's done that with Travis Kelce, and he just did it with Clyde Edwards-Helaire yesterday. It's just like he completes that by like such a small. You know what I'm saying? The type of player it takes. So if Jacoby Brissett is Deshaun Watson, do some of those screens get completed?
Yes.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think Watson also, the fourth down throwaway, I think Watson walks it in.
Yeah.
On that first 4th and 1 at the 3, I think Watson probably walks that in.
I do as well.
So that's like when some people are like, when Watson gets back, he's not magically going to fix the defense. No, but he's going to score more points. Yep. Like I love Jacoby. I really, really love cheering for him. He seems like a really outstanding player. But there's a difference. And yeah, Deshaun Watson doesn't play defense, but would 23 points have won the game if the Browns scored 2 touchdowns on those 4th downs they didn't get?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. You look at the Browns defense and the problems that they have. Yes, the past defense has had miscommunication, but you are so much advantaged when Jadeveon and Miles can just rush the passer. Obvious passing downs, let those guys go to work. So how do you do that? You put them in a deficit by scoring a lot more points with Deshaun.
You know, it was misleading in 2020. The Browns defense was one of the better against the run. And it wasn't because they were good. It was because they got up on so many opponents that they had to throw to try to keep up with the Browns offense in 2020. And that's exactly the kind of effect, because think about this game. If this game is, not 20 to 14 when they ran the ball down, or 20 to 13 or whatever it was, if it was 27 to 13, they're not only attempting 17 passes. Like it's a whole different ball game. So it actually does matter for the entire outlook. Although some people don't, because they don't like Watson, which is totally understandable and justified, but you're kind of trying to slander things in such a way that it's not true. It's not accurate. But yeah, man, that was the biggest thing. That was the biggest thing, was the missed screens. Okay. All right. We've said our complaints. Mm-hmm. We have said our good. Let's look at the outlook, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to do my all 22. So there will be one more piece that I will post about this game in the morning before I shift starting Thursday to the Chargers. So you got 17 pressures on the quarterback. I just realized that he attempted 17 passes and there were 17 pressures. Interesting. I just did that. I just thought about that. I'm sure there was more dropbacks because he probably scrambled on some of them. I don't have all the data in front of me, but that's interesting. You did that without Miles and Clowney. I'll add that in terms of the depth at defensive line that people are – the depth of defensive line and linebacker cannot stop the run. But if the Browns offense scores a few more points, it's a whole different ballgame. All right, so you've got the Chargers. Okay, so the next four games before the bye. Chargers, Patriots, Baltimore, Cincinnati. The Chargers do not have Rashawn Slater. That's a big deal at left tackle. I understand. Wasn't a huge deal last week. Herbert still leads the NFL in passing. Yeah. But guess what? Stopping the pass isn't the problem. It's not the problem.
Yeah.
If Myles Garrett or Jadeveon Clowney is back, I believe they're starting Storm Norton at left tackle, and he's butt cheeks.
He's bad. I saw videos of that. That is not good.
I don't know if they'll still start him after some of the but I don't know if they have a choice. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
If Clowney's back, if Garrett's back, if they're both back, I mean, Herbert is really freaking good, but I still like their chances to slow him down. I do. I think they can slow it down. And I think without Bosa, Joey Bosa not being there is a big deal because, they got Khalil Mack, but we got a Jack Conklin.
Yeah. And you know what? The Browns had a ton of success offensively against the Chargers last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm not
had one arm.
I'm not going to spit sunshine and say I feel great about this game. I'm not going to tell you that.
Hey, hold on. This is funny. Hey, do you know who's 32nd in the NFL in QBR?
Oh man. So, you know what?
Do you know what his QBR is?
No.
15.
Oh man. I just want to, you know what?
We don't have to talk about it. I had to.
No, I'm glad. I'm glad you brought this up because I want to say this. No matter how you feel about the way the season's going, no matter how you feel about Jacoby Brissett or Deshaun Watson, I think we can agree it was blatantly. I mean, do you remember how loud the calls were to pay Baker Mayfield? Oh God!
I was probably part of that before last year.
So I was too, and so I can't imagine. He's a bro. I mean, I'm not dancing on.
I wish him more success than he's having.
Yeah.
But because of the shit I took late last year and in the off season, I'm having fun.
And with the comments he said about the boos, and now he's just getting booed worse. Like, you know what?
And I'm watching the gymnastics of all the fans making excuses.
Knock whatever you want to. Andrew Berry knew that he had to get that dude. A 5th round pick looks like stealing for him.
They're not going to get a 4th. He's going to get benched.
A 5th round pick looks like stealing.
Yeah.
From so thanks for taking $5 million of that. I mean, no offense to Baker Mayfield.
So as I sit here right now,
Jacoby Brissett's better. Brissett's better in every way.
Jacoby Brissett's top 10 in QBR right now. I think he's 6 or 9. I think 6 is actually Geno Smith, which is hilarious that he is like top 6 and like Russell Wilson is like bottom 5. It's hilarious. It's the NFL is true parody at its finest. It's great. So I'm not going to sit here right now, not knowing the injury report, and tell you that the Browns will beat the Chargers. But I will sit here and tell you that the Browns can beat the Chargers. And if you don't think so, I mean, I'll show you some, I'll dive into the all 22 and tell you why tomorrow. Like it's there. The film's there. And people smarter than I have pointed that out as well. And it's not doom and gloom. Like we wanted all 4 of them. We wanted 3 of them minimum, but this team is talented enough and coached well enough to beat anybody. I don't think they'll beat Buffalo. Like that's the one on the schedule where I'm like, oh, buddy, I do not think we can get that one. But stranger things have happened.
Stranger things. Jacksonville beat them last year, 9-6, 9-3.
Oh my God, I forgot about that game. That game was like Josh Allen sacked Josh Allen like 3 times. It was hilarious. It's like one of my favorite football moments of all time was that. I mean, Buffalo lost a game where they against the Dolphins where they ran 90 plays to 37 plays. Like, and when you're talking about what does it take to make the playoffs? The AFC, which we thought would be a slaughterhouse, has been a slaughterhouse in the opposite direction and have just been beating up on themselves. Like the AFC North is all 2-2. Well,
and Pittsburgh.
Well,
oops.
Well, except for Pittsburgh.
Oops.
At least we don't suck that bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay.
Good luck. Good luck with Kenny Pickett's debut in Buffalo.
Oh, I forgot that's where they were going. Ooh, that's must watch TV.
I can't wait.
But you're looking at this. There's no undefeated teams in the AFC. You've got the I'm right in that, right? Because Miami was the last one.
Chiefs, Dolphins, and one other team are 3-1. Everybody else is 2-2 and worse. Yeah, Chiefs, Dolphins, Bills.
And then the Eagles are 4-0 in the NFC. So in terms of where are you stacked right now, and one good thing, if you can call it a good thing, that loss was an NFC loss. So that aspect of it helps a little bit. I'm not telling you to feel good about this game because you shouldn't. But I'm telling you, as this episode title would suggest, the sky is not falling. Not yet. It might be on Sunday, but not yet.
Because nobody's pulling away in the AFC. Nobody's pulling away in the AFC North. I mean, and so, in your because I want to say this. So I did look it up. There's only 3 AFC teams, 3-1 or better. Everybody else is 2-2 or worse. So, yes, the Browns could be so much farther.
It should be the only undefeated team in the AFC.
Can you imagine? But I do think so. As it sits, the Chargers are not unbeatable. So we're gonna hope. If I had to be honest, I would say they'll lose to the Chargers, but I think they can beat the Patriots with Bailey Zappi over there. And you're not losing. Don't you dare lose to Bailey Zappi and the Patriots. I know they could. I know that obviously it went very poorly for the Browns last year, but I think they can be 3-3 through 6. I think somehow they could still be 3-3 through 6, and I'll take that. I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, I think they can beat the Chargers. I think I will pick them to beat the Patriots. I still with the Chargers, I still have to sit here and wait until I find out who's rushing the passer, because we should get an update tomorrow. But
you said okay, so we got Chargers, Patriots, and then Bengals, Cincinnati.
No, Baltimore Bengals.
Sorry, I said Bengals and Cincinnati. Ravens, Bengals. And
they match up so good against the Bengals. Like, I understand that the Bengals are good, and they're a good football team, but what the Browns do well, you saw it last year against the Bengals. Like,
I mean, I don't think the Bengals are really standout impressing anyone offensively right now. I mean, Joe Burrow.
They're starting to come together a little bit, though.
I know they had a decent showing against the Jets. I still am a non-believer in what's going on with them. Like, Joe Mixon's just not. They're not able to get any rush push at all.
I believe going into this past week, and I don't know what it is now. Let me see if I can bring it up right here. It was a stupid stat, and I want to make sure I don't miss. Yeah. Joe Mixon is averaging 2.7 yards a carry.
Ugh.
He has 82 carries for 224 yards.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Mixon's
good.
Bad.
He's a good player. They are getting zero rushing offense right now, and they're like trying to find it. And T. Higgins really helped them dig out of whatever funk they were in. But and no disrespect to any of them, it just, I mean, they were able to protect Joe Burrow better against the Jets, but I do believe that if Miles and Jadavian are there for the Bengals game, I mean, I think the Browns can win that game. That's a long way of saying I think the Browns can win that game.
Baltimore right now is the scariest because Lamar is just playing out of his mind, but he is accounting for so much of that team's offense. That's not sustainable. He's either going to get hurt, or when he has a bad game, they'll get boat raced. Like, so what I'm getting at is, like, I don't think they'll win the next 4, but they could. They could win. They could win 3 of them. They could win 2 of them. And they could lose them all. Yeah, it could fall apart. It could fall apart. I don't think it will. I'm not sure. I'm not ready to say they'll beat the Chargers, but
they could. They could.
I'm not someone that's going to tell you that they're going to get smacked. If they don't clean up some of that, the issues with rush lane discipline, then
yeah, I mean, that's so. I am sure
if Eckler can pick them apart and then Herbert can just do what he wants, that's a problem.
Because the Chargers are going to try, right? Like, they're going to look at the Atlanta tape, and rightly. So the Browns have to answer. That is the biggest thing. Because Eckler up until yesterday, Sunday, hadn't been astounding this year yet, especially on the ground, and the Chargers started to get him going last week. So that's going to be a really big question, right? If the Browns can stop Eckler, then maybe, because I mean, Justin Herbert's not 100%, right? So I mean, there's ways in there for the Browns to win. I'm going to keep Jacob. I definitely needed to hear your. I see you've already started building some of the positivity, and I'm glad to hear it.
I look at, like, a lot of these things and it's just, yeah, some of this stuff is bad. But so people, based on the reactions, you would have thought the Browns lost 42-0.
Yeah, I would say
they lost a 3-point ball game. And listen, I get it that you don't think that the Falcons defense isn't all that great. And you can complain about the Falcons all you want, but going into this game, there was only 2 teams in the NFL that had scored 26 points in their first 3 games, and that was the Browns and the Falcons.
Yep. So
they've scored. Arthur Smith has that offensive line had a day on Sunday, and Arthur Smith is putting something together down there. And I think if they go to Ritter sooner than later, I think that team could. That's a terrible division. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on with Tampa. Like, I have no idea. Now Tom's getting a divorce. Like, that's. Well,
I think that Tampa's getting right. I would assume. I mean, finally, offensively, they did something, which
but their defense got hosed.
I know that's a good point.
Like, really hosed.
Yeah,
and their defense had played well up until then.
That's true. Yeah, that is a bad. Oh yeah, because Jameis Winston's not even healthy there, and Baker Mayfield. Man, that was former number 1 overall picks were facing off Kyler Murray and Baker, and I think that was. I don't. Just back to Baker for a second. I mean, I watched that whole Carolina Cardinals game after, and I don't know, man. It's so weird to like, if you go right now and you put on 2018 rookie Baker tape and just see he just didn't care. He was just throwing it, he trusted his eyes, and he just threw, and for better or for worse, right? And we know how Baker's rookie season went. And to see where he's at right now is, I just feel, I feel bad. Like nobody wants him to watch him struggle that badly. And I think, least of all him. And we know how much he is sensitive to, negativity and booze and all of that stuff. So I can't imagine that's a rough time going on there in Carolina.
He has, trying to look at it because this is always very interesting to look at, and he has. See if I can find it here. He has thrown for 200 yards one time against Cleveland, with that 75% coming on one game. Against the Giants and New Orleans, he completed less than 50% of his passes. He's completing 54% of his passes right now.
Jeez. Well, got to give Andrew Berry credit for moving on there. No matter who they upgrade from. I mean, it's really interesting. I guess if you call Baker the worst in the league right now, I mean, of course you were going to upgrade from him if you got Jacoby Brissett. But it is really interesting to watch, because I think in general we could agree that Jacoby Brissett's been better than expected. So yeah. To watch him play like he is now, I mean, I think there's a lot of great things Andrew Berry's done. I just hope that we can not pay for the defensive line tackle situation all season. I really hope. MC, you know what? I'm just going through it right now. I'm trying to be fair. I'm trying to be honest. I'm trying to find some uplifting things. I think the Browns can still take the season by the horns. It's just you know what? Jacob said that everyone's acting like the Browns lost by a crazy amount of points. And I think it's because they lost in such a frustrating way. Like, how many teams do you see that just the opposing offense is just calling 10 straight run plays? Like, how often is that going to happen this year? Not a handful, maybe. So I think that's just my point is the way that the Browns lost is incredibly frustrating. But just like with last Thursday, if you beat the Chargers, you're right back in the driver's seat. And that's probably the most uplifting thing I can offer, is that it is right there still. So sky isn't falling at 2-2. Maybe it'd be 3-2. Maybe we'll sit here. If we're sitting here at 3-2, I'm gonna be dancing. I'll tell you that. I will be dancing.
So before we sign off, if you guys want to support the network, you can go to patreon.com/network_216 and subscribe to the Patreon for $5 a month. We have a private Discord, exclusive giveaways, and my film review sessions, including the film review that will come up here in just a little bit with the all-22 breakdown from the Browns and Falcons. You can do that over there. Also, if you're on YouTube, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel and you give us the thumbs up. And if we get to 600 YouTube subscribers by the bye week, which is the beginning of November, I will do the Hot Ones Hot Sauce Challenge live on YouTube and Twitter for everybody to enjoy. As well as probably some awesome merch that'll come out at 600 subscribers. We're at like 457 or something as of this taping. So spread the word about the YouTube, hit that subscribe, give us the thumbs up, and we really appreciate you guys.
Should I bring a carton for the Hot Ones Challenge?
A couple, probably.
If for those who don't know, Jacob has attempted some spice before, and the whole carton of milk was needed.
Yeah, that's on YouTube. You can find that. It's
quite a video. If
you want the one chip challenge is on YouTube somewhere. Yeah. It's like 20 minutes or 30 minutes or something, and it was it's on there though. If you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube, and it was something. But
thank you to everybody who was here. I can't wait to hit 600 because I know we will. So everybody that commented, liked, subscribed, that was here, we appreciate you. This has been episode 77 of the Barking Browns Show. I'm Nick. He's Jacob. Go Browns.